Hello, podcast listeners. This is your host with the most, and I'm aching a little bit. You'll find out why at the very beginning of this podcast. And we've got more discussions that lead everywhere from wolves again to what you would do if you had $1 million and Tucker was cooking you dinner. Well, one of those things isn't true. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Oh my God, Tucker. I just took the dogs for a walk and I hit an icy patch and I fell completely into a snowbank.
Ooh.
And like, here's the thing. If it had been a bench right there, no big deal, because my hand, when it went down, would have caught me. But instead, it went through the snowbank. I went in there, and then I had snow compacted into my ear so badly that I had to come home and like lean over the hot faucet and let the steam melt the snow out of my ear.
Whoa. I've never had that situation happen before in snow, and I've been completely encased in snow before. Are you physically okay? Are you hurt?
I mean, we'll find out. My wrists hurt and my leg hurts, but I took some aspirin, and I think I'll be able to live.
Did the snow cushion your fall at all?
I probably, I guess, but what happened was like, so my feet, if you're walking down the sidewalk, imagine where your feet are and they go perpendicular to the direction of the sidewalk. And so they slipped out from under me and it made my whole right side just slam into the snowbank.
Yeah.
I'm also walking my dogs at the same time. And I was holding a poopy bag in my right hand, and I got almost a block away before Jill goes, "What happened to the poopy bag?"
Oh, no.
So I'm sorry to whoever ended up with the poopy bag that'll be in your lawn.
Better be careful. They're going to DNA test that, JJ.
Isn't that weird? So I remember when Jill and I lived together in an apartment and they were threatening to have you had to pay like $100 to have your dog DNA tested so that if they found poop, they could test the poop, and if it was your dog's, you'd face $1,000 fine.
Wait, this is a real thing?
This is a real thing.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah. It, like, not only a real thing, but they thought it was 100% enforceable. That is such garbage. Like, that is not. You do not have to take your dog in to get some blood drawn so that they can have a DNA file on hand. That's crap.
Anytime I've slipped and fallen, more often than not, it's not the impact with whatever I fall into that hurts me. It's my body like quickly stiffening up to try to catch myself, and I like pull something. Mm-hmm. I have no core muscles whatsoever. I mean, I do, but they're not strong. Right? They're there. They just sit there. They're covered in butter. And so if I were to slip and I try to catch myself, I almost always like throw my back out or pull something in my leg. No fun.
No one likes that. And, I can think of a couple notable falls in my life. One was walking into a movie theater that didn't have stairs on the outside. It was two large ramps that you walk up to get to the door. And I slipped at the top. I was just leaving The Lion King in 3D. I specifically remember that.
Wow.
And I slipped, and so my feet, my ass over tea kettle is the way my dad used to say it. And so my feet went over my head, and then I drifted to the bottom of the ramp. And that's the thing, is I couldn't stop as it was going. I just and I wasn't going fast, mind you. I just all the way down. And The other notable fall, I think that that should be included in any conversation about JJ falling was with your dad. We were in Chicago and we were leaving the second city, and I fell down an up escalator.
Oh, damn.
So I was trying to walk
Ugh.
down an up escalator because it's funny school. That's what funny kids do. You go against the grain. And I tripped and I fell. And so I fell down like 3 stairs. But by the time I got up, I was in the exact same spot I was when I tripped, because I fell down, but then it kept bringing me up. And your dad must have got laughing at that. He really enjoyed that one.
I love how going to a comedy show has the same effect for you as like it did for me to go to like a Ninja Turtles movie, and then I'd just be doing karate all day afterwards. Like you just get so amped up by the thing you're seeing. I wonder how many shenanigans they have to deal with. Brouhaha, they have to kind of nonsense they have to squelch after so many of their shows.
I bet you anybody who worked like at NBC after they aired an episode of Seinfeld, there were people who called in and they're like, "What's the deal with 2% milk?"
Yeah.
And they're all doing bad Jerry Seinfeld lines, thinking that they could become a writer on the show because they've got hilarious observation. They call them inchworms, but I know they're more than an inch.
When you said we're talking about falling and you had mentioned my dad, my first thought was, which time did he fall that we're going to talk about? But you were talking about yourself falling, which surprised me because then I immediately went to a time he fell when I was still in, I think, elementary school. And if not elementary school, then I think it was like 5th or 6th grade, because I was in orchestra at that point, which I think is why I was up so early and walking in a different direction to school in the wintertime. But I get up one morning and I think I go grab my violin because I had to go like walk to like a different school. And as I'm walking, I hear, like someone just screaming behind me. And I turn around and I see my dad is laying in the driveway without like a jacket on or anything. And he had slipped and fallen. And some other guy who was just out walking his dog was like really close to him. So he runs up to him and then I run back to him. And then my stepmom comes out of the house because she can hear him screaming. I don't know if he ended up having to go to the doctor for anything. I think he just pulled something, but he has so many falling over stories.
I think that the best of us have moments where we've fallen down, both physically and metaphorically.
Well,
right?
Like when you fell through the chair.
Like when I fell through the chair. That's another falling down story where a Lucas family member really just couldn't keep it together after I fell. And you know what? I will say this. None of these brought me great physical harm. And so I'm glad that they brought you great psychological pleasure.
Here's the thing, JJ. Have you ever seen you fall?
No, but I bet it's amazing.
Don't knock it till you try it, man. Like once you've seen you fall, it's pretty awesome. I got to admit, like the thing with the chair was a matter of timing though, right? We had just started recording and I was so proud of these like $5 chairs I had gotten off of Craigslist. And so to see it, not just for you to fall through it, but for it to like pinch you and hold you on the ground for like a solid 30 seconds.
To break apart. Tucker, years ago, I had a buddy who was in a class in high school where you had to make a video for a product. And so he went and he borrowed, and I'm doing this in quote fingers, borrowed a wheelchair from a local hospital, like right in the entryway. And the product was supposed to be the all-terrain wheelchair. And so we spent a very brisk spring day going around the NDSU campus. I don't know why we went to campus, but we did, filming all of these things. So I had a helmet and goggles, and I'm wearing my Letterman's jacket too to really sell it that, I go to Fargo South High, home of the Bruins. And so one of the things we did is we threw the tree up into a chair, threw the chair up into a tree, and it's me trying to get the chair out of there. There's another one where I'm going really fast and like I knock over the camera. There's one where I'm half on the curb, half not, and I fall over. But the coup de grace is they wanted me to ride the wheelchair down the dike. And I said, no. I said, if you want someone to ride it down the dike, you go talk to Jared Nillis because he's an idiot and his bones, he doesn't care about him. So what they talked me into was going into what used to be like the financial office at NDSU they're like, it's like 40 feet long. These steps are just enormously long. And there's probably 30 of them to get to the top. So not a ton, but enough, right? And they're like, all you have to do is ride the chair down the steps. It probably won't even, you probably just like thump, 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 and you're at the bottom. And I'm like, okay. We are going to take like 5 or 6 takes of it. And the first take they do is a wide shot, meaning that it's got the most coverage, right? It's from far away. It has all of the stairs in. It's got the whole wheelchair. I get to like the 3rd step and the wheel pops off. One of the like side arms comes out. Like you can see it come off in my hand. I kick my leg out and another piece comes out. I end up falling out of the chair and the chair is following me. And so you see me get to the bottom and then what's left in the chaos of what's left of the chair crash lands on top of me. So we did not return the wheelchair. And I'm sorry. Luckily, that hospital system no longer exists anymore.
Does the filmmaker's name rhyme with Justin Blue Cannon?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Does
not.
the filmmaker's name rhyme with Bill Fund?
Nope, it does not. And like,
and it can't rhyme with Jared Nillis because you told them to go have Jared Nillis.
That'd be a real dick thing to say to the director. Like, you go find this idiot, Jared Nillis, and he's Jared Nillis himself. No.
And you were still in high school when you made this?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
His name rhymes with...
His name rhyme with Clara Maya Bammerling?
Nope. You know what I love is that you have a running list in your mind of people who would ask me to ride a wheelchair down a staircase, and you're just going through it.
I want to figure this out before you tell me who it is, because I'm trying to rack my brain here of who might be the person who would have asked JJ to do this. Does his name rhyme with Jim Blarson?
No, it does not. How about this? I will explain a little bit more of what happens in the video, and maybe the sense of humor will trigger something for you. So part of what happens in the video itself is there's crowd noises like ooh, ah, and applause. And there's also like when I tip over the first time, there's an old sound effect from Apple's what was the name of their editing software? iMovie.
Oh, wait a minute. Does this person's name rhyme with John Byrie?
It does.
Okay.
I was gonna say he used a horse sound effect that was saved inside of iMovie, where it was like and used it, like layered it over, so it was like and I think I still have that final product.
I need a copy of it, please. I need a copy of it, please.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it, because it's well worth your time to just go, oh my God, look at that crap.
Right. Right. That is so funny.
The all-terrain wheelchair. My mom loved it so much that she, like, when she passed away, I was cleaning out her laptop and she had it in a folder labeled JJ's Funny Video. And like, I looked at it, I was like, they'll tell you like the last time someone clicked on it, and it had been maybe like a month before she died. And we're talking about a difference of 13 years from the time it was made to the time she passed away. So she clearly was a fan of the all-terrain wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So some good falls from throughout my life. I enjoy that. I never got into stage combat. That's one thing that I just don't know anything about. And I know the people who really got into it, like our buddy Dave Brunsvold is a master at pulling a door open and then like putting his foot just a little bit in front of his body so that he can make contact with the foot to make it go, but then like kick his head back immediately like he just took a giant hit to the face.
Yeah, there was a door frame at Horseman Elementary when you went down into the gym. It was like a double wide door, so it had the center metal brace, right?
Oh yeah.
That the doors can latch into. And that particular one was a little bit loose, so when you would kick it, it would make the most amazing sound. And so we would do that all the time where we'd be pretending we're going to go into the gym and then boom, hit your head.
I love that kind of stuff. It really does
Good
make
times.
my day.
God, you know what? That might, like, if I have not been inside of Horace Mann Elementary in decades. I would love to go take a tour and just see what it looks like inside. And also I'd go see if I could still do that on that thing.
I love his officer. He just said he was a former student. And gosh, I don't know why he does the things that he does, but
did your elementary school do, what was it called? It was like a carnival, like a once a year after hours like carnival where you could come and do like cakewalks and stuff like that. Every year when we had that at Horace Mann, that was like my favorite night of the year at school.
So
I loved it.
I have been trying to convince a nonprofit in town to do an adult version of an elementary school carnival. So
nice.
Think of something like this. Remember the game where all they do is they put up a big piece of blue paper and then you've got a dowel with a string on it and a paper clip or a clothesline clip, and you throw it over the top and it's like you're fishing.
Yep.
And then you've got a mom or dad on the other side and they connect like a Snickers, a fun size Snickers, and then they tug on it and you're like, oh, you got a bite, and you pull it over and you get this fun prize. Think if they did that, but it was like gift cards or little bottles of booze. You think of a cakewalk for adults.
Dude,
I think it would be massively successful.
I think I've talked about this on the pod before. When you did the giant cakewalk, I think I brought this up. But yeah, we did cakewalks at ours, and I remember distinctly in the 4th grade being like, "Oh, the girl I've got a crush on is watching me in this cakewalk. I hope I win," thinking that she would be impressed, right? Like, wow, you won the cakewalk, and I won the cakewalk, and she didn't give a shit. She didn't really look.
You know, after you told that on the podcast, I got a hold of her. I tracked her down.
Oh, did you?
Yep. And
yeah.
You know what she told me? Name? She told me that.
What's her name?
Her name's Rebecca. That's what she asked me to say on here because she didn't want to be outed for this because she knew her husband would be just insanely jealous. Because she said that is the defining moment of my life, and that in her lovemaking with her husband, she's included cakewalks. Oh, and if he doesn't win, he doesn't win.
You definitely didn't talk to her.
And she also she was incredibly she couldn't believe that the cakewalk winner of 4th grade at Horace Mann Elementary remembered her.
Right. Yeah.
And she said that if you had been willing to just share a cake with her, whether it had been won or purchased, she would have been ecstatic. So
that would have been a bridge too far for me. I wanted that cake.
That's my problem. If I was trying to impress a girl with a cakewalk, I'd be like, I intend on eating this cake. I don't intend on sharing the cake. Did I tell you what happened at the cakewalk?
You talked a lot about it. Yeah.
So we give away 6 cake for a year packages. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you won the cakewalk, if we picked your number, you end up being getting this pass that you can go into Nothing Bunt Cakes, and each month is a different package. Like you get a bunt cake this month, you get 24 Buntinis the next month, and then you get something that's birthday themed the month of your birthday. Like it was amazing, and it's like a $500 coupon book. And so if you won, the volunteers would go over and like put an X on your wristband, and So right after this thing is done, I mean, there's 700 people. There's people coming up to me to talk to me about stuff. There's a reporter there who wants to do a story on it, and like everywhere. And this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, my daughter is the first person to win." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, hold on." And he goes, "Yeah, I just need to get the cake. I just need to get the cake for her. We got to go." And I was like, "Just hold on for just 1 second." And I had been emceeing it, so I hadn't been out there marking wristbands. And I'm like, "Yeah, she's supposed to have a mark on her wristband." He goes, "No one came in." And I said, "Well, yeah, but like, somebody else, hold on. So eventually he talks somebody else into giving him one of these coupon books and takes off. His daughter didn't win. They cheated. They stole. And so the nice lady who showed up, who was the last one, who had a check on her wristband, was like, "Oh, that's okay. This was just such a fun thing to do." And we're like, no, we'll make this right. We'll make this right. And she goes, "No, don't worry about it." And we said, "No, we will make this right." So that's when we called Nothing Bundt Cake and we told them what happened. And then they told us how much this thing is worth. And I was like, "Oh my God, I do not want to pony up $500 for this woman." But what they did is they made something for her. They're like, "Listen, we'll do like, you pick your kid's class or something like that, and we'll cater an entire like Bundt Cake celebration, so it won't be worth $500, but it'll be worth like $300, which I think is really awesome of them to do, right?"
Sure.
But
it's too bad there's no way to like invalidate that guy's one that he took with him.
Right. Well, and so I kind of want to be like, somebody needs to find that guy and slap him upside the head. He cheated. There were children there, and he cheated his way through this. And his daughter is with him. What is he teaching his daughter? And it's not like you could be confused because the numbers are 1 through 650. And I was like, 112. And so if you're standing on 212, you're like, they said 12 at the end, and that I'm a 12.
Hey, here's what you do. You say, "Hey, and every winner, congratulations, you get this thing, and also you get your photo with the celebrities from KFGO," and they take a photo with you, right? So that if he comes up and goes, "Hey, yeah, I want to go," all right, great, first we'll take our photo with you, because then he has to be recorded, right?
Right.
And then you go, "Hey, this person lied about doing that." You just blast them that way. It's that would just get them to go, "Oh, you know what? I think I might be mistaken about whether or not I won."
This morning, I went to run some errands, and I am usually fine in big groups, but today was just too much for me to handle. The people who were blocking aisles. There was a guy who was standing in front of the cheese I needed at Costco, just talking on his phone, just standing there. And so finally, like, I have to like reach around him, and he turns around and he looks at me like I'm inconveniencing him because I want to get my manchego.
Yeah.
And
yeah, this world would be so much better if it weren't for all these fucking people.
God damn it. It's true, Tucker, because so then on the one time a year I end up having to go to the dollar store because they have really cheap like Tupperware for when I make the dogs their homemade dog food. And I can reuse them, but sometimes they chew, they'll chew on it or they'll get melted somehow, and so I just have to replenish it. So once a year I go and I spend $5 and I replenish it. They now have self-checkout at Dollar General, which, by the way, used to be famous because everything costs $1. Now everything costs $1.25. So really, they should call it Dollar Generally. And so I'm waiting in self-checkout, and the woman in front of me is buying just a smattering of products, and she pays, but she doesn't take her basket with her shopping basket. And she just abandons it. She just leaves it. And I do one of these. I go like, "Huh." And she doesn't even turn around. She doesn't even acknowledge the fact that I am socially snarfing her. And that bothers me. And so here's what I think should happen. Also, when Jill and I came out, there's a giant yellow line with dashes in the inside of the line indicating that this is not an area to park. But there were 2 teenage to early 20-ish girls who had parked there. They had literally parked, gone in, did their shopping, and came out. So this is what I think. For 1 year, police enforce every law in the books. No more getting away with anything. And let the people know that this will not be tolerated going forward. And I am not just talking about things like murder and speeding. I am talking about the social
You all
graces as
knock it
well.
off.
I volunteer right now to be deputized because I see a lot of this in the open world, and I will simply give people. And here's the thing: the fine for not taking your basket back to the basket area in the self checkout, the one place where it literally says self, meaning you are responsible for everything here, that would be $100.
Mm-hmm.
Parking in a no parking zone while you just run in to grab a couple things, $250 and 50 hours of community service. And
couldn't you?
when I'm pushing this to my wife, she goes, "You're talking about The Purge," which is a film series where for 12 hours there are no laws in America. You can do whatever you want. So if you hate your neighbor, you can go kill your neighbor as long as it happens between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Which, by the way, that film series doesn't get the credit that it deserves because the first movie is just like a one-off of this family. You know, there's a guy who's running down their street and they bring him in and then they get involved with like a gang trying to kill this guy. But the movies as they go on get really good. So at one point there's a woman who's running for Congress who wants to get rid of the purge. And so all of these rednecks try and kill her the night of the purge because they don't want her to win to get rid of it. There's there are people who like flee to Mexico and Canada during the purge because they because Canada doesn't do it and Mexico's like, listen, that's even too crazy for Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy those. My scary movie club goes to those.
Do you think you survive a purge?
No. Well, I would tell you this. I wouldn't be wild enough to go outside on a purge. I don't think that there are people out there who would think, okay, who are my purge night victims? JJ Gordon. I don't think that would happen, but maybe.
That would be the step. Like if a purge like law was enacted, that would be the probably the step that would get me to become a gun owner. Just because it's like, well, what else can you fucking do? You know?
Well, part of the premise is that like it shows the class differences because like if you're rich, you buy this like special like panic room that you can stay in all night, and if you're lower class, you are being hunted. So Matt Dillon, is Matt Dillon? Not Matt Dillon.
I have no idea.
No, who's the guy who's having Ethan Hawke? Ethan Hawke is one of the salesmen, like sells the purge pits, and in the first movie, so it's good. Ethan Hawke had a really good year in 2022. You know that?
Yeah. Especially with Moon Knight,
and then Black Phone was great, and then he popped up in something else, and I was like, God, Ethan Hawke's crushing it this year. You know who else had a good year? John Leguizamo. And
what did he do?
Well, he was he just happened to be in some stuff that got pretty good reviews. You know, The Menu, a movie that I didn't care for so much, but he has like a pretty decent role in it. And then he pops up in Violent Night with David Harbour, where Santa Claus saves a family from a group of terrorists. It's like Die Hard with Santa.
Was that good?
You know what? It is surprisingly fun. So
it looks fun.
You don't go into it being like, this is going to be an amazing movie. You go into something like Violent Night being like, I am ready to laugh and to go, oh my God. And you get that out of that movie. David Harbour's great.
I think David Harbour would be the perfect live action casting choice for Homer Simpson.
Oh, that's a good choice. I like that. I also think that David Harbour is the type of guy who is just as fun off the set as he is on the set. You know, like he plays a Santa Claus who's like, he's a little bored with what he does and he drinks. It's like watching Bad Santa, but then he talks about how his past was he was sort of this barbarian and a hammer was his weapon. So at one point he stumbles into the garage and gets a sledgehammer and he uses it. Oh my God, does he use it?
He's really David Harbour in the streets, and then David Harbour in the sheets.
You gotta believe that that's true, don't you think?
Yeah.
So my wife has decided that she wants a Tesla, and she also thinks that people who have Teslas are more intelligent than I am because they have a Tesla.
They're not having a good time right now. Their profits went down about 60% over the past 2 years.
See, look at that. And that's if you own stock. Imagine if they stopped making them.
Well, apparently if they can't get like the autonomous driving thing to work, then they're going to like die.
Which is ironic, right? We've got to figure out a way for these things to do themselves, or we're not going to be able to survive. Do you remember like when cars first started getting CD players, and it was probably like a 6-disc changer that you had in the back of a car that you had to like feed something into, and it was a big to do. Do you remember that time?
Well, my experience, my first CD player I had was like a Discman, like a portable one that you could mount in your car, and then you'd run out of the headphone jack into like a audio cassette tape adapter to be able to play into the system in the first place. And so I had that, and then I had a sleeve on my visor filled with burned CDs.
Oh, I love a good burned CD.
I did that well before I ever had a car that had a CD player built into it. But I do remember being in fancier, smancier cars where someone had 6 to 9 discs somewhere in the trunk of their vehicle.
Do you like the smell of crayons?
I don't dislike them. I don't crave the smell of them, but they do bring me back. But I wouldn't it's not like how I love the smell of an old book or a comic book.
Yeah.
Where I could just inhale that and go, oh, yes, I love that smell. But crayons, unless it's like a really dirty crayon, or really old crayons can smell really bad. But the smell of crayons can kind of bring me back a bit.
If you were to get into, like, let's say you were going to go look at a new car that was for sale on like Facebook Marketplace, okay? And you got into it and it smelled like crayons. What's your first thought?
No. I to set it on fire.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna set that car on fire, huh?
Yeah. Here's the thing, like inside of a car, if you can't, any sort of overwhelming scent inside of a car is going to give you a massive migraine. It just is, especially when like all the windows are rolled up and you're in that kind of confined space where you're circulating the same air over and over again. So if it smelled like crayons, that means that there are crayons in it somewhere that have probably melted, and either the carpet that they're fused to needs to be totally removed, or you need to power wash the inside of that thing.
So what's funny is you're wrong. This was the minivan that had previously been owned by Sarah Crayola, the great granddaughter of the Crayola crayons creator.
See, this is what happens when you withhold vital details, JJ.
That it's crayons don't smell like crayons. Crayons smell like the crayons family. That scent was created specifically to mimic the scent of the Crayola family.
Oh, so the whole family smells like waxy soap.
Well, or does waxy soap smell like the family? That's the problem here.
I don't think it's one of those all tortoises are turtles, not all turtles are tortoises situations.
Who says that?
JJ. I do.
What?
I just said it right now. I did right now. You heard me.
Do we need to be marketing this? Should we be making t-shirts?
I think the Crayola family, if they smell like crayons, that means they're dead. Like, okay. Which members of the Crayola family are we talking about right now?
What's their great grandchildren?
We're talking about like Gretchen from the 20s.
No. We're talking about Brittany and Silvio and Peach.
They're fresh off the boat in Ellis Island.
Yeah. They're fresh crayons.
And they were like, it's a new country.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's from Iceland.
He's from Italy by way of Iceland.
Do you know who the actor Ken Jeong is, if I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. One of my favorite shows, Community. He shows up to an episode that takes place during a Halloween dance, and he's wearing like a women's dress, like figure skating dress, and he has figure skates. And he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And he's Asian. And someone goes, "Michelle Kwan," and he goes, "No, I'm Peggy Fleming. You've just been proven racist by the racist prover." And that's some good writing right there. That just is stellar writing on their part.
Yeah, that is a good line.
I
Definitely.
recently made a purchase that I'm pretty pleased with, and I'd like to share it with the JJ Meets World audience. This is by no means paid for. It's not a paid for advertisement. In fact, I haven't even reached out and talked to this company, but if they would like to advertise, I would gladly make that happen. But for right now, Amazon Basics, which is a brand, it's Amazon's store brand essentially. I usually love it, right? So very rarely do I buy something off of Amazon Basics that isn't the cheapest and it's perfect quality for what you get. For example, Amazon Basics makes a line of plastic hangers. They're great. They're awesome. And for the price, they're perfect. They make drying racks that you can put in your laundry room. They make lightning chargers that are 8 feet long that if you have to throw them away 2 years later, you're like, yeah, I got my use out of that. Recently, I bought deep pocket sheets, jersey style cotton sheets, and they are heavenly. They're so good. And I bought my mattress. My mattress is like it's foam, that's got a layer of gel, and then it's got a feather bed top. So I need a pocket that is at least 18 inches to be able to like truly cover the sides of this mattress.
Can you tell me what we mean by pocket?
Oh, like the corner of it. So
okay.
Like the corner of the mattress, what fits onto it with a fitted sheet is the pocket. The pocket is the corners. And so this one is 20 inches deep. So it's got more than enough to go around there. And so then it doesn't, sometimes like the elastic can creep up the side a little bit of it. And so it doesn't do that because there's plenty of length. And jersey cotton mimics the feel of like a t-shirt. Oh, they're comfy. They're warm when they're supposed to. They breathe when they're supposed to. And they come in about like 70 colors. They're just great. And Amazon Base, I think I got a full sheet set. So a king set of sheets and then 4 pillowcases for $30. Ooh. That's a steal.
Does thread count really come into effect when talking about how comfortable a sheet is?
I think that it used to. I do not think it does with modern sheets because we use so many synthetic blends that it just doesn't matter anymore. Maybe if you're getting like silk sheets. But really, I think what people should be looking at is the type of sheet and the type of fabric that they're using. So for example, jersey cotton it's like from the way it's spun has different types of fibers in it. And it's different than something that's 100% cotton, which is different than something that is, got some, what's the stuff that no one wanted for a little bit, like rayon, like that's got a rayon fabric in it. And some sheets are made with a different type of fabric, and so they never crease. And they won't keep wrinkles, but they're not as comfy or not as breathable. I think thread count was something that we all fell for a while, but no longer do we need to be beholden to this. It's got to be 1,500 thread count, or I'm not even going to look at these sheets. Oh, no.
I never made sheet purchases based off of thread count. It was always what I could afford. And I'm actually in the market for some new bed sheets right now. I'm really happy to be hearing all this from you because I need to make a purchase. So I'm already looking right now at some jersey fabric fitted sheets with 2 pillowcases.
Dude, I'm telling you.
And I don't use the non-fitted sheet in a sheet thing anyways. That always ends up getting folded and put into a closet in case I need a temporary bed cover if something happens to the pair of sheets I have. But the ones I have, they're just too used. I wash them every week, but they're all old now and kind of ratty. I also feel like I need to maybe flip my bed around, at least the mattress a bit, because I'm in a memory foam bed as well. And it seems like it's really curved a part into the mattress that's not as comfortable anymore. And I want to start over again on a side that has more firmness to it.
You were supposed to flip your mattress once a year with the old style spring that were like, you could be on either side of it. With memory foam, it's every 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that about the old springs. I never really did it. So I'll be doing that once I've treated myself to these new bed sheets.
And you should really give the top sheet a run for its money. What's really great about it is it keeps your oils off of your comforter.
Oh, well, I think though the oils are going to get there regardless.
Sure, but it just helps. And at one point you're going to end up getting some poop on you. And this will keep the poop from getting everywhere. It's like a sandwich.
Well, regardless of whether I'm using that sheet or not, if I get poop somewhere in the bed, I'm cleaning everything.
Everything?
Everything. Yes.
Then you should also look at the Amazon Basics. They've got a plastic liner that you put under the fitted sheet that keeps
Is there any
poop from getting to the mattress.
Is there any way to buy from Amazon and not give it to JeffBezos.com?
No.
Does he still get a piece of all this?
No. I guess you could try and find the exact same thing and buy it directly from that manufacturer, but then you probably have to order 10,000 units. And at that point, the shipping alone is just murder.
Like Batman buying all those cowls in the Christian Bale movies.
Here's the thing. Okay. So I was thinking about that the other day. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in Batman Begins, Alfred and Bruce are looking at these cowls that are made out of graphite, I think. And when they arrive, and you have to order a large amount so it doesn't seem like, it's shifty, like they could trace it back to you. And so he orders 10,000 and they have a design flaw where they crush on impact. And so they need to go back and redesign them and reorder them. So at one point they've got 10,000 of these things that are just sitting there that are useless. And I was thinking about this the other day. If that company were smart at all and they're like, interesting that someone had us make all of these, and then we're making another batch of them just at the same time as from the United States, there's a man who's dressing up like a bat who in the shadows has almost the exact same profile as these things we're making. And even if they don't put two and two together and to say Wayne Industries is involved with this, at the very least, they should be putting out Batman products. That's one thing you never really see in the Marvel universe that you should be. You get a little bit out of it with the Into the Spider-Verse, but people would be making knockoff products of all of this stuff and making buku bucks off of them.
I do love how incredibly easy it would be to figure out in reality who these superheroes are and how they operate. I just reread the novelization of Batman Nightfall, which was this big storyline in the comics where Bane beats Batman. He's the first guy to beat Batman and actually breaks his back during it. Basically what he does is he goes, okay, whoever Batman is, he must be rich. Let's see if we can see where the Batmobile goes. And so the Batmobile, they follow it out into the woods and then it disappears. And they're like, okay, well, 3 rich people live here and it's not that guy and it's not that guy. So it's probably Bruce Wayne. Let's go there. And then he just walks into the mansion, just kicks the shit out of Batman. And that's it. That's basically it. He's just like, yeah, it's probably that one. And wins. And no other villain could ever figure that out, which do
you kind of feel that maybe in one way the villains don't want to actually figure it out because
Joker definitely does not want to,
right? They almost don't, even when Jim Carrey the Riddler figures it out in Batman Forever. All he does is go and mess up the Bat Cave. Right?
Mhm.
Like,
But yeah, basically.
like,
And he doesn't even he just sort of knocks Batman out, right? And then he goes, yeah, let's just leave him be.
yeah, exactly.
Let's take this lady with us and leave him there.
I was just reading an article about how Bruce Timm, the guy who's behind Batman the Animated Series, cringes whenever he sees Mask of the Phantasm. And I was like, wait, what? And because I think that that's the best theatrically released Batman movie.
I love how you and I are on the same cycle of clickbait coming up in our social media.
Okay,
I just saw
comic book, whatever. Like, did you read the article?
I just saw that. I saw the headline, but I moved past it.
So what I think is interesting about it is originally the Warner Animation had given Bruce Timm enough money so that he could make this as like a special that they would air on television. And then they came back and they're like, you know what? We decided that we're going to do this as a theatrical release. So you've got like 7 months. And he goes, well, see, we've been drawing it for a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is square, which is what televisions are. And seeing it as a 16:9 widescreen would be jarring. And so he talks about how he said we were 90% there. I think if we had had a little more time, we could have gotten it to the 100%. And I think to myself, I'm like, damn, boy, if this is 90%, I would have loved to have seen 100%.
Yeah, I'll take what we got because it's the best Batman movie.
It is so good. And
it's
like
the best one.
The Phantasm is scary as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a serial killer.
I love the story. I love their telling of the origin of Batman as well.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense. And well, the old animated series from Fox was such a work of art. I just think about the opening title sequence where it's mostly just these large shapes that are denoting criminals and Batman in a fight on top of a roof. And some amazing, amazing music. But Batman is the greatest superhero of all time. So I'm happy that he was able to get that. But I think he was already that before the animated series came about. But that just solidified it for everyone.
Okay. Let me pitch to you an origin story that I think needs to be told for a character that we all love, but we've never seen on the big screen.
Listening.
It opens and it's raining. And two people meet up in an alley. They're both wearing trench coats. And you can hear some kind of a celebration going on one of the streets over. And one of them turns to the other and says, it's too late. There's nothing you can do anymore. And you see this sinister grin and the withered old hand of someone who's clearly like been decimated by time and dehydration reaches out and goes, there's always time. And you see a cop walk by, like a street cop, and he walks by the alley and they kind of like turn back to talking to each other. And you see in the distance that he takes some steps back and he sees down there and he goes, what's going on? And one of the guys runs away immediately. So this cop starts walking down there because when someone runs away, you assume that something's bad. And they said, none of your business, officer. And he goes, hold on there. And the guy pulls out a gun. And you see the cop go, oh, no. And he's shot. A window is open up top, and a super old guy sees that this cop has been shot and is now like bleeding to death in the alley.
So a super old guy sees the really super old guy shoot a cop and kill him.
They're all old guys, right?
Including the cop is also a really old guy.
Yeah, including the cop. No, the cop is like a portly 40-year-old. Okay.
Okay.
And this old man is able to get the cop up to his apartment, and the cop's just bleeding out. And he's like, and
did the other old guy run away after shooting?
no, he just stands there. And so the old guy's like, why aren't you helping him? And the other old guy's like, I don't have to help anybody. And watches the light flicker in this old man's apartment while something's going on up there to help the cop. And so this old guy goes to his refrigerator and he opens it and he pulls out this red liquid. And he forces the guy to drink it. And the guy goes, oh, so sweet. So sweet.
The cop, he forces the cop to drink it?
The cop to drink it. So sweet, so sweet. And the cop passes out. And the next thing you know is you see his, he opens his eyes and it feels like it's watery in front of his eyes. Like that's the kind of vision you're getting. And he's staring up from the perspective you'd have if you were laying down in a bathtub. And he's like, what's happening to me? And the old man in the apartment comes over and goes, you were dying and I saved you, but at a great cost. And so he brings a mirror over and the man sees that he is completely now liquefied. He's just liquid with 2 big black eyes and 2 black eyebrows and a black half moon nose and a big black smiley mouth. And the next thing you know, the old man who shot him is organizing crime with all these other people in this giant brick warehouse. And you hear rumble. And then they start to look at the wall. And suddenly the wall bursts down. And you hear, oh, yeah. And it's the Kool-Aid Man.
So the Kool-Aid Man's a cop?
Credits roll. Yeah, the Kool-Aid Man was murdered and he has to avenge his own death.
Oh, so he was brought back to life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he never really dies, but he has to go through a change.
And he's fed Kool-Aid and then becomes Kool-Aid?
Yeah. And so that's why we end up having other Kool-Aid men throughout time.
So then what? But then who is his nemesis?
Literally dehydration. It was the human embodiment of dehydration, and all he wanted to do was to feed all the kids in the world vinegar instead of delicious Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he also had children, Kool-Aid Man.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a Kool-Aid VHS tape of some sort. I know he raps on it, but that's all I know that happens on it.
See, I mean, we're missing out. Why are we not? And it's here's the thing. It's gritty. He also at one point has to strangle a prostitute. And then at one point, when everything's down and out, he has to call in a friend, and his friend is Ronald McDonald, who has promised never to get back into that world.
I wonder when when his mood changes, if his flavor changes.
Oh yeah, and he boils when he's mad.
So when he's going to fight, when he's going into battle, he turns red.
Yep.
For the bloodlust. But when he's not, he's like a cool tropical blue.
Yeah, or if he's embarrassed, maybe he turns Purplesaurus Rex.
Right, or if he's feeling ill, he turns green apple.
Yeah. See, yep. I don't know if there's a green apple Kool-Aid, but there's definitely a green flavor of Kool-Aid out there somewhere.
There's gotta be. If there isn't, that's just that's as ridiculous as the fact that we still don't have a Pepper Jack Easy Cheese.
That really bothers you, huh?
It's wrong. There's not a reason we shouldn't have one. I haven't been given a good reason why we can't have one. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's the little bits they get caught up in the tube.
Well, you blend that in. It's the flavoring. It's not like it's real cheese.
Wait,
it's just supposed to taste like it. It's like oil and then science dropping. They put chemicals in it and makes it taste like a thing.
So then why can't all tortoises be turtles?
I didn't say they can't. I'm saying they're not. No, all tortoises are turtles. Not all turtles are tortoises.
What? Okay, hold on. How many animals adopt other type of animals? Also, by the way, I can't believe we're this far into this and I haven't brought this up, but this is serious. Remember how I declared that 2023 was going to be the year of wolves?
Yeah.
I've done a 3-part series on my radio show called Wolf Talk. And I brought in experts from the International Wolf Center in Ely, Minnesota. And I've learned everything there is to learn about wolves in 3 10-minute sprints.
Did they either change your mind or reinforce your choice?
About not wearing wolf clothing, they reinforce that. But
like it's their sacred images. You don't want to see.
No. It's just because like I don't want to blend in at a Petro serve. I always want to stand out if I'm going to be at some place like that. But no, it's very interesting. I mean, the talks that we've had are kind of insane about all the stuff they talk about, and like their packs are mainly family based, and so. Remember how we talked about like, well, you know, there's like an alpha male and an alpha female. Well, yeah, there's like a mom and a dad, and then they have cubs. And then at one point, the cubs go off to marry a cub from another pack, and then they start this other pack, and they go on like that. They also, there's 3 things that every wolf needs to survive: wildland, prey, and a symbiotic relationship with human beings. And we talked about that in the last one, and about the fact that there was a major infrastructure bill that was just passed. And one of the things that was passed in this bill were billions of dollars for wildlife crossings. So when you think of an area like down in outside of Los Angeles, there is an interstate section that has 12 lanes of traffic. So if a deer was trying to cross, there's no way it would ever get all the way across, right? Like 12 lanes of traffic, that's an insane amount of traffic and an insane space to get between. And so
worst game of Frogger ever.
So what they do is they build these giant overpasses where they plant trees and native shrubs, and then they change part of the terrain around there that like kind of funnels animals towards that area. And so they can go back and forth. And we are actually building some of those in North Dakota. And sometimes they tunnel underneath. So like in Florida, they tunnel underneath so that alligators can get from swamp sections to swamp sections. And it's fascinating, you know, the way that we've cut wildlife out of so many different areas. And now we're just getting to the point of being smart enough to put these wildlife crossings in. And so that's part of that symbiotic relationship that they need to share.
Sure. Yeah. Give them just a highway of their own.
Yeah. Give them a fighting chance, right? Like,
is there anything that they can do to really do the deer end up learning, oh, let's go this way instead? Or do you still have to kind of coax them down these certain pathways?
They do. They learn that this is the safe crossing point.
Okay.
Which is ironic. But like, I guess in nature, they figure that out. So a lot of deer don't cross where there are curves in the road. It's in straight areas where they cross.
Okay.
It's fascinating. And like all the research that they put into it. And I was like, good. I don't mind paying taxes for something like that. I can fully get into that. But, Tucker, I think we should also make a quick announcement at the end of this that, JJ Meets World will sound almost exactly the same, but we've got a new studio setup that we're going to work on here in a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting a new studio space that we'll be using at least for the first half of this year.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. The whole plan was I was going to go over there and start setting it up today, but I've been so good today at working on all the things that I've been neglecting in my house for a few months. So I'm trying to keep that train going. So we'll see if we can start recording next week.
I love that. Awesome. Okay. You have a great day, buddy. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. do not try the new Mountain Dew hot sauce flavor and expect it to be hot sauce or Mountain Dew.